This process is gonna be a little bit slow because we're kind of working it together for the first time, okay? But I'm demonstrating how I would approach if I were to sit down and start working on this project, okay? So what I would do, if I was gonna sit down and start working on this project, what I would do is I go to my project module, okay? I would right click. That gives me the option to open the link in the new tab. Okay, I put these four links together for that very reason. So I would right click, do your menu set, right click, do your Chef Tech inventory, right click, do your semester project notes, and then right click and do the volume to weight. That way you have these four tabs right across the top. Okay. The recipe that we're going to go after is going to be the rub. We are working on this rub recipe. Okay. I know it's kind of hard to see. So I'm going to go ahead and put it here in my Word document. So maybe it's a little bit easier for you to see. Chili powder. Those of you who are in class, you should be writing this down on your page. Okay. Salt. Those of you who are online, if you want to print out this page and write it, if not, you could also be doing it just like I'm doing it online within the document. Okay. So I need 8 tablespoons of chili powder, 2 teaspoons of salt, 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, and 32 each of the chicken breasts. Okay. Let me zoom in so you can see a little bit easier. Give you a moment to write that down.
And all your T's were teaspoons, right?
The capital T is tablespoon, the lower T is teaspoon.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. For the purposes of this, all I need is the name of the menu item, the recipe, and the number of portions, which is 32. That's it. For this project, that's all I want. When you visit this project in a later class, your chef will tell you exactly how to fill out all of this other stuff up here. But for this project, we're focusing primarily on the costing of the recipe. Okay. So when you are in Word, don't take the time to go back and forth. Just come in and copy and paste. Okay. Same thing. So copy and paste the ingredient and the amount, the recipe amount needed. So go ahead and take a moment to fill out the back. Chili powder, salt, garlic powder, chicken breasts, 8 tablespoons, 2 teaspoons, 2 teaspoons, and 32 each.
Sorry, just one quick question.
Mhm.
Is this a recipe for the chicken breasts or for the rub?
So this is the recipe for the rub. So if you look on the rub recipe on the menu set, I'm going to do it exactly like it is here on the menu set.
Okay, sorry, it's throwing me off that the chicken was
Yeah.
in the rub. Yeah.
So why is the chicken breast on the ingredients list for this one?
I don't know. I didn't write the recipe.
Okay.
I'm assuming I'm the hotel guy. I'm not a culinarian, but I'm assuming you're gonna rub the chicken breast with this rub. So it makes sense why it's part of that recipe. Okay. So now we have the ingredients, we have the amount needed. Now we have to find our purchase cost and our purchase amount. Where do we find that?
On the call sheet?
On the Chef Tech inventory list, yep. The other thing that I think I would recommend doing is checking your semester project notes first. Because that's going to give you insight onto maybe there's some conversions you need to be aware of. Maybe there's some specific ingredients. So in this case, we have chicken breast on the Chef Tech inventory, but I want you to use the 6-ounce ones that are $1.29 each. So right here, we'll write for chicken breast $1.29, and then the purchase amount is each. Okay. And then salt was 2 cents per ounce. So we come back here, salt. And then we have for 1 ounce per ounce. Okay. All right. So here we go. The chili powder and garlic powder. Let's go back to our Chef Tech inventory list. What do I have to do? Control what?
F.
F for find. Now we have chili powder, we have garlic powder. The control F function works if you only use one word. It works best if you only use one word, right? Because if it's not exactly the way it is, like on our recipe, it's chili. CHILI. But we have chili sauce and we have green with rotel with tomatoes with green chili. Is that what we're looking for? Chili powder? No. Does that mean it's not on our list?
No.
Just means we misspelled it. Okay. So what I would do is I would look for a more common word like powder. Okay. And here we can see chili powder is $9.43 for 18 ounces. $9.43 for 18 ounces. Okay, so our cost is $9.43. The purchase amount is 18 ounces. And then while we're on that same page, garlic powder is $4.93 for 1 pound. $4.93 for 1 pound. Have we done any math yet? No, we're just getting things set up, right? So consider this kind of like your mise en place. You're getting all the pieces put together before we actually start doing any kind of math. Okay. Now we can do math. Which one of these do you want to start with?
The salt.
There's a better one to start with than
The
salt.
chicken breast,
Why the chicken?
Because they're both each.
because it's each.
Our units already match. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. Let's use our chart. If you are here in class and you have your chart in front of you, I would go ahead and follow along as we go, right? Just to get you the practice of doing this. So we have the AP to recipe. Okay, what is my as purchase for the chicken breast? $1.29 each. And I need 32 of them. Okay, so I compare my recipe units. Are they the same? Yes, we move across, reduce the cost of 1 unit. Well, guess what? It's already in 1 unit, right? So
Yes.
we go over to our page here, and we just basically are combining this 129 each. We're basically going to combine these 2 columns into 1 column, 129 each. Okay. This recipe unit cost is 1 unit, the cost of 1 unit of our recipe. Okay. And now we can multiply $1.29 times 32. $41.28. So that is my ingredient cost for the chicken. Okay. Now let's do our salt. What I like to do is right above the AP to recipe, I like to write the ingredient name. That way it can kind of keep my notes separate. Okay. And then also if I'm working on the same page, I like to either draw a line so it distinguishes the math between from one ingredient to the next, or I just use a different color and it kind of changes that. So my AP, we remember, is 2 cents per ounce. And our recipe amount is 2 teaspoons. So are they the same?
No.
No. So we're going over here to convert. Do we have volume or weight, or do we have volume? Do we have volume and weight, or do we have the same thing?
Well,
We have volume, which is the teaspoons, and then the ounces is going to be weight, right? We buy things by the
Salt.
weight. We buy dry ingredients by the weight. We don't buy it by the volume. Even though it says ounce, right? And honestly, we're not buying the salt by the ounce. They've already just broken it down to the cost per ounce for you, right? So if they are the different volume and weight, we have to use that conversion website. So let's head on over there and take a look. All right, so we need 2 teaspoons of salt. Okay. Are we looking for almonds dry roasted without salt? No. We want to keep looking for salt. Okay. I don't know why this one does pages where the other ones don't. Everything is alphabetized. So we're going to get all the way to the S's. I think in this one. There we go. Salt. How do we know which salt to use? If it says salt, that's just regular table salt, iodized salt, regular salt, right? If it's a specialty salt, kosher, sea salt, whatever, pink Himalayan, it will tell you that in the recipe. But if you just see salt, I just go with this HEB iodized. I just like HEB. I see it, I recognize it, right? So those 2 teaspoons are 0.42 of an ounce or 0.03 of a pound. Which one should I use?
Ounce.
Why the ounce?
Because it matches the AP.
It matches the AP, exactly. Okay, and so this is why I really encourage students to utilize this AP to recipe so that you have this visual representation of where you're starting, where you have to go. Okay, now on this page, my salt, I don't want to erase the 2 teaspoons, right? I want to keep the 2 teaspoons. I'm just going to put the 2 teaspoons equals 0.42 ounces. Okay. Because we're using the 0.42 ounce for the costing, right? Only for the costing. Am I going to give this recipe to somebody and say, I need you to measure out 0.42 of an ounce of salt? No, we want them to use the 2 teaspoons. So for the measurement portion of making the recipe, you want to go ahead and keep those amounts needed there. And then just do 2 teaspoons equals the conversion of 0.42 ounces. And now, because this is already in the cost of 1 ounce, again, we're just going to copy them right over per ounce. And now we can multiply 2 cents, 2 pennies times 0.42. And my answer is 0.0084. So what does that convert up to?
0.01.
0.00 what?
One.
0.01. So 1 penny. Okay. This 0.008. Remember, we're running to the nearest 2 decimal, second decimal place. So that 0 becomes a 1. All right, 2 more ingredients. Which one are we going to do next? Garlic. Okay, so we're doing garlic powder next. It is $4.93 per pound. Garlic powder. $4.93 per pound. And we need 2 teaspoons. Okay, so I got my AP. Are my units the same? No, we're gonna go and convert to the same units. And we gotta do volume to weight. So we're gonna use that conversion website. Volume to weight, 2 teaspoons garlic powder. You guys see how helpful it is to have 4 different tabs open? So you don't have to like keep hitting back and opening and things like that. Makes it a little bit more efficient. So my 2 teaspoons of garlic powder are 0.23 of an ounce or 0.01 pound. Which one should I use? The pound, because it matches my AP unit. So 1.01 pound. Okay. I know that using the ounce would be more exact. It's a more exact number, right? I just like to do the least conversions, right? I like to do the least amount of conversions. So if it's $4.93 per pound, remember I'm going to come back to this page and just combine them into $4.93 per pound. Okay. And these 2 teaspoons are equal to 0.01 pound. And now I can multiply straight across. $4.93, oops, times 0.01 gives me how much?
5 cents?
5 cents. Yep, 5 cents, right? Because this 4 is going to be rounded up to a 5. Always round up to the nearest penny. All right,
Can you
last
show,
sorry, go ahead.
can you show one more time on the conversion website?
Yeah. So on the conversion website for the 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, now this one only gives us one option, right? So sometimes you're only going to have that one option. And so we have 0.23 of an ounce or we have 0.01 of a pound. And this is why you want to have that precision set to 2. If you have the precision set to 1, it's 0 pounds. Okay. And so having that precision set to 2 gives you that opportunity to use this number instead of having to convert $4.93 down to the cost of 1 ounce. Okay. If we were to do that, just hold on for a second, divided by 16, that would be 31 cents per ounce. And we'd multiply that by 0.23. You'd see we would get about 8 cents instead of the 5 cents. So you can see how that using that unit of all the way down to the lowest unit, the ounce, could produce like a more exact number. So if that's the method you want to do for your own business, that's totally fine. For my project, I like to kind of keep things at the least amount of conversions. Okay. And Brian, keep this in mind, right? So this was like 2 or 3 cents. The salt was 2 or 3 cents more, right? So keep that in mind for the next part. All right, the next thing we're gonna do is our 8 tablespoons of chili powder. Nope. Where is my? I think it's just hidden. There we go. US tablespoon of chili powder. All right, same thing here. So if we have our AP to recipe for chili powder, let's just do it on this page right here. AP to recipe, I need 8 tablespoons And it is $9.43 per 18 ounces. So obviously those don't match. Okay. So we're going to our website. Now, am I going to use the 2.26 or am I using the 0.14?
Hmm.
The 2.26 because it matches my AP unit. Okay. So this 8 tablespoons is equal to 2.26 ounces. So 8 tablespoons is equal to 2.26 ounces. Now let's go back to my flow chart here. Now that I've done the conversions, I have to reduce the AP to the cost of 1 unit. Okay. So the AP to the cost of 1 unit is our $9.43 divided by 18 ounces. That gives me 53 cents per ounce, right? 0.523. 0.523 actually becomes 53 cents per ounce. Right? So then we go back up to our page here and it becomes 0.53 cents per ounce. And now I can multiply 0.53 times the 2.26 that I need. And 1.197 becomes $1.20. Good. Okay. So that was, now this took us a little bit longer because we're explaining each step by step. The more you go through this, the easier it should come. Okay. The more you do the recipes, the faster this should come. Okay. There are going to be some where you're going to be having to go back and do some weird conversions using those semester project notes, but that's okay. All right. So we're not done yet. We're almost done. Okay. Almost done. For the purposes of your project, you're going to put all of these recipe pages into one document. Okay. And so what you could do if you wanted to is you could delete these. And it basically just brings this bottom area up closer to the last ingredient. Okay. So to get our subtotal, we need to add all of these to get our subtotal.
Sorry, one more question
Yep.
on the recipe unit cost. So for like the third one, garlic powder, I see it's remaining in pounds, but the recipe unit is teaspoons.
Well, we converted it to 0.01 pound.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's why you want to leave the teaspoons here. So when someone's making the recipe, they can follow that. But for the purposes of costing, you want to have that conversion here of 0.01 pound.
Okay. And so the recipe unit cost is just the cost for that full unit, the 1 pound.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay.
Yep. So anything that's in the recipe unit cost column should be only the cost of 1 unit, and those units have to match your recipe. Question. All right. So my subtotal is what? 42.54. Okay. Now, my Q factor is 5% of our subtotal. That's gonna be the same for every recipe. It will always be 5% of your subtotal. Okay. In chapter 4, we talked about the Q factor being all those free ingredients, those free recipes that come with like the set menu. In this case, when we're talking about costing out a recipe, this Q factor allows us to add a little bit of like of a fudge number just in case maybe somebody doesn't measure correctly. What if they put 9 tablespoons of garlic powder or chili powder, right? So this Q factor allows us to bring that into consideration. So that's $2.13, right? Because a 2.127 is going to always round up to 2.13. So Brian, this is where this Q factor, right? Remember how that salt was like 2 or 3 cents more if we did it by the ounce versus doing it by the pound? Or the garlic powder, I mean, sorry, the garlic powder. It was a little bit more if we did it broken down to by the ounce, like 2 or 3 cents more. This Q factor will kind of absorb that cost. That's kind of like a fudge number. Gives a little bit of wiggle room. All right, yes.
Get that Q factor.
It's 5% of the subtotal. So we're going to take the subtotal of 42.54 and we're going to multiply by 0.05. Okay. What's that?
Always 5%.
It's always 5% for our project. Yes. For our project, it's 5%. You have another class, it'll probably be a different percentage. Okay. But for my class, it is 5%. Okay, so I see, Destiny, your question about if we divided 943 by 18, why did we get it rounded up to 53 cents? Because 0.523, we are always rounding to the nearest penny. You always round up to the nearest penny, I should say, not to the nearest penny, but up to. So it doesn't matter that that's a 3. We're going to round that 52 cents up to 53 cents. Because that 388, right? That number is part of a penny, which is kind of weird to think about, a part of a penny. But that's part of a penny. And so the more we use it, eventually that 388 is going to add up to a whole penny. So to counteract that, we're just going to round it up automatically to 53 cents per penny or per
So
53 cents, always round up to the nearest penny. Yes.
so even if it was like 522, you're still rounding it up.
Yes. The only time you're not going to round up to the nearest penny is when you get an answer and it's exactly 2 decimal places. You leave that number alone. But if there's a third decimal, you round that second number up to the nearest penny, up 1. Always, always, always. Okay. Awesome. Just want to make sure we got all those chats covered. Okay. So Q factor. Let me write it out just so you see it on the notes. 42.54 times 0.05 is equal to $2.13. Okay. Then my total recipe, of course, we're just going to add these 2 numbers together. So 42.54 plus $2.13, 44.67. Okay. And then my portion cost. All of your recipes are set to 32 portions. So your portion cost is going to be the total recipe divided by the portions. Okay. So we have $44.67 divided by 32 servings. It's $1.40. All right. Any questions about completing this page for the recipes?
So we're gonna do every single one that's highlighted.
on the menu set? Okay.
If it has, what I would go off of is the name of the quiz that's in Canvas. That will tell you what you're gonna be using, what recipe you're gonna be using, right? Because there's a fillings and garnish quiz. So like this one for the chicken has been broken down from the rub to the marinade to the honey pecan sauce, right? So just go off of what the quiz name is on Canvas, and that will align with a recipe on the menu set. I saw Caleb, you have a question.
So what do we do about the procedure on the first page?
So don't worry about the procedure on the first page. All I want is the menu item, and the number of servings. That's it. When you
Oh,
do
okay.
this in a later class, right? This will be like you're doing this for your classmates when you're writing a recipe, like so basically all the directions. But for this class, I'm not worried about that.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So Brian, your question about the Q factor, cover any waste in the process of production. Yeah. So let's say somebody, instead of taking their measuring spoon and leveling out that chili powder, they just take a big scoop and kind of shake it off until it looks like it's level, but it's actually more than a tablespoon. That Q factor covers the cost of those extra ingredients that you're using. What was explained to me about Q factor from a research and development perspective. So R&D, research and development, is a field within our industry where they test recipes, right? So major companies like Whataburger has a whole R&D department. And what they're doing is they're testing recipes for new things to go on their menu. And with that R&D, oftentimes you have that Q factor as a higher percentage because you may taste it and say, you know what, let me add some salt. Let me add some more pepper. And so that Q factor covers the cost of those ingredients until you get that recipe just perfect, and then you can cost out the recipe. All right. So how do we know if we got all these answers correct? It's a great question. I'm glad you asked. Let me show you. Okay. It's not a gut feeling. We're going to go to our quizzes and we're going to find the menu set 2 rub recipe. Okay. The last 4 questions on every quiz is the subtotal, Q factor, total, and portion cost. Okay. That's the last 4 questions on all the quizzes. So if I look at this quiz and there's 8 points, 8 minus 4 is 4. That means I have 4 ingredients. So any recipe that you're looking at, just subtract 4 from the points, and that tells you how many ingredients are actually in that recipe. Okay. So let's do this. The total cost of the chili powder is what?
Oh, no, my bad.
$1.20, okay?
2 cents.
I know I have 10.20. Don't freak out. Okay. I'm just like putting that in there. I know it's incorrect. I'm going to show you why in just a moment. Okay. But all right, what's the total cost of the salt?
Okay.
A penny. Okay. Garlic powder,
5 cents,
5 cents. Chicken breast was
41.28.
28. Okay. The recipe subtotal was
42.54.
cool. Our Q factor was $2.13.
Yes,
And the total recipe cost was
44.67.
67, and my portion cost was $1.48.
40.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna submit my quiz. I'm gonna come and check my answers. I have 7 out of 8, right? So I look, oh, the chili powder, I put the decimal in the wrong place, right? I was in too much of a hurry, so I just put my decimal place in the wrong place, right? So I come down here. I'm going to I take it again? No. Okay, so I'm gonna come back here And now I'm just going to, just to double check, make sure I'm okay, right? I'm gonna put $1.20. I'm not gonna answer any other questions. Only the chili powder. I'm gonna submit quiz. Canvas is gonna tell me you have unanswered questions. Yes, I know, it's okay. Okay, I come down to my score and it's 1. If I answered one question and my score is 1, what does it mean? That means it's right. If it was still 0, then that means it's not right yet. Okay? So now that I know that that is the correct answer, now I can go back and do the whole quiz again with all the correct answers and get 100. Okay? You have 99 attempts on every single recipe quiz. Okay? You have 99 attempts. The reason why I do that, it's very intentional for you to do that, because what I want you to do is I want you to cost out the whole recipe and do that once the first time. Okay? And then go back and focus on the ingredients you got wrong and just do one at a time. Don't try to do multiples, just do one at a time. And then once you get that to be 1 and you know it's correct, then move on to the next one that you got wrong. And then once you do that, you correct it on your page here. You correct it on here, so that way you know everything's correct. And then you do one more time and you get a perfect 100 on the last quiz, the last attempt. Okay. So
Sure.
that is intentional as to why. It helps you work through this process. I am introducing this concept to some of you. Okay. It's going to take practice. Some recipes you may only need two attempts. Some recipes you might need 30 attempts. I don't know. Okay. But the reality is, if you get the right answer in the end, then that's what's important. Okay. Now, that being said, if you're on attempt 5 or 6 of the same ingredient and you're not getting it, stop and come talk to me. Okay. Don't put yourself through a lot of any unnecessary stress in trying to get it right on your own. That's what I'm here for. Okay. I'm not going to give you every single recipe or ingredient for every recipe, right? This is a project you need to be working on. Okay. However, I will give you help along the way. So if I may not give you the answer to the quiz, but maybe I'll give you a problem with the same format, just different numbers. So then you have to go back and reuse that format to then apply it to the project. Okay? Questions, comments, concerns? Yeah.
So this is just to help us like visualize it and do it. You don't need to like do like this online and then like submit it in some way, like in the future. It's
All
just,
of this will be, all this type stuff will be part of your project that you're turning in at the end.
so do it online.
Correct. You don't have to print it out and do it on hand if you don't want to. You don't have to use this. You don't have to use this and like fill it out with a pen or pencil. You can just use your regular notebook paper to do your math. That's totally fine. Yeah.
Cause like I can like put this out at home or whatever, but I was just wondering if you wanted it online and you needed this, but like online just to have it, and I wouldn't have to
Yeah.
go back and do it.
Exactly. Yeah, some students like to just type it all up and then do the math like on a regular notebook page and then put the numbers in the sheet here. Okay. You do have to use this page though, this recipe, this RSTO worksheet. Okay. I do want you to submit it on this page, not any other kind of file that you create on your own. It needs to be in this format. And that's primarily because you're going to see this in other classes. So I'm preparing you to see those in other classes. Okay. Questions, comments, concerns?
So I have one question about this rub. I
Yeah,
see it as a part of another recipe on the worksheet.
right.
Do you treat each component as a separate like section to fill out, or is it one recipe that you do the whole thing on?
No, that's a good question. Yeah, like the rub will have, let's look at the menu set.
Yeah.
Let's make share.
Okay.
Okay, let's look at our menu set. So for example, the rub is gonna have a page, the chicken marinade will have a page, the Texas pecan honey sauce will have its own page. So the best thing to do is to come over here to the syllabus, or you can look in the quizzes too. Actually, let's look at assignments because it's broken down by category. So if you look in the assignments as part of the project, so you'll see this is where you have all the recipe quizzes for the project. So whatever it's titled, that's going to correlate with the title on the page.
And
Yeah.
for the pages, do you just want the second page or do you want the first with that just kind of two
The
fields
first
filled
and
out?
second page, yep.
Okay.
Yep. The cream and broccoli soup, I did not highlight the velouté sauce, but it is here as its own velouté sauce, its own recipe. And then if you check the semester project notes for the soup, for the velouté sauce, just use the total recipe cost from that velouté recipe as your cost here for the soup. So that's all there in that semester project notes when you get to it. All right, I am going to change the due date of the rub recipe till next week. So what I would like you to do, since we have no other homework besides those two quizzes, those are short, right? But since we have no other homework related to the textbook, what I would like you to do is try the rub recipe on your own. Try doing it on your own, and then try the recipe, try the quiz, see how you do. If you don't do well, then go back and watch the video. Okay. But try to test yourself, challenge yourself to do it on your own. And then that's where we're going to learn from that mistake. So that whatever mistake we make on this recipe, we can learn from it this time and not do it again in the future. Okay. One of the biggest, most common mistakes that I see students make is they think that 1 tablespoon of flour is 1 ounce or half an ounce. Okay, that's only volume. So you remember you have to ask yourself, is this a dry ingredient or if it's a liquid? If it's liquid, that's volume. If it's a dry ingredient, well, then we have to use that conversion website. Okay. And that's all I have for today. You will have plenty of time to work on your project. And we'll have a lot of time in class to also work on your project. Okay. But some of it will be required to do it outside of class. As soon as I get these videos processed, I will post them in Canvas in the recorded lectures module. Anybody online have any questions before I stop the recording?
No, but I do want to say that, so the first assignment, like the first recipe that I have to break down, can I send that to you and you just like let me know what I did wrong?
That's what the quizzes are for.
Okay, so just
The quizzes,
all right.
yeah, so that's a good question. So the quizzes are there to help you, give you that instant feedback of whether you got the question right or wrong. If it's wrong, and you want to send me a picture of your work and say, Mr. Uminsky, I've worked this out 2 different ways and I can't figure out where I'm going wrong, that's fine. Just send me a picture. As long as it's in the AP to recipe format. If it's not in that format, it's hard for me to follow. I may ask you to rework the work so I can see it better. But yeah, that's what the quizzes are for. That's why you do 99 attempts. So you can try it. Don't be afraid of getting it wrong. That's going to give you instant feedback.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Me, no.